A monumental shift is happening towards the end of March. Saturn, the planet of karma and material manifestation, is changing signs. For the first time in 30 years almost, it is moving to its most favorite sign in Aquarius, where it can do the best according to ancient astrology. And what does it mean for you personally? It means that the end of a serious problems in your life. For many of you, towards the end of March and April, you'll see the end of certain travels, of certain situations that were too complicated, that were too restraining, or that were too limiting in some way, the end of certain responsibilities, the completion of certain responsibilities and the results of them, but also moving into a totally new set of priorities and important lessons that you have to learn. The start of a new bunch of karmic lessons with Saturn moving in Aquarius, which will actually give very good results by the end of this period. It's going to take about 2.5 years for you to see the results. It's almost like while Saturn was in Capricorn, you were building the foundations, you were building the structure of something, you were disciplining yourself. And when it moves to Aquarius, you're going to now build the infrastructure, you're going to build the connections and the networking to achieve that goal or that that great work. So there will be a refocusing, a change of directions for all of you gradually from the end of March, from one set of priorities and difficulties to solve and lessons to master to another set of priorities and lessons to master, which will end up in the fulfillment of a great work, in the achievement of a great work for you. So exciting times, guys. March also brings Mercury going direct. So great news, 2 planets in their own sign. So listen what's going to happen for each of the 12 signs. Plus, we are doing an apprenticeship, so our second apprenticeship, one-on-one with a tutor, with an amazing astrologer, the best astrologer I've ever seen, with the best predictive techniques, Victor. It's his second apprenticeship. We already had our first apprenticeship group, but you work one-on-one with the teacher, graduate, and out of that apprenticeship group, 4 people are going to be working with us, will be astrologers that you will see that they will do videos with us. So if you'd like to have a chance to work with us with Astrological, or just to learn astrology as a master, come and join us for this apprenticeship. Very few people, he cannot take many because he works one-on-one with them, and it's 30 or 20% off till the 20th of March. Gemini, March 2020, rising sun and moon. So Gemini, first of all, your planet is turning direct. Well, it goes retrograde 2-3 times a year, so you're pretty used to that madness of Mercury retrograde. But it's still good news to hear that Mercury is turning direct for you, which means that some more complicated situations that required more of your efforts, redoing, fixing, or some delayed situations are going to start moving forward from the 10th of March onwards. First, Mercury is turning direct in your 9th house. So any delays in regards to travels, to trips, in regards to any complications with father figures, with teachers, with teaching, with courses, if you have to learn something, to study, they'll start, or edit something in regards to, and redo some project connected to travel or to study, to import, export, they'll start moving forward, they'll start improving. Any kind of legal matters and documents for foreign living or whatever, they'll start again improving, moving forward. If there are some complications, they will be solved. And then Mercury moves into a 10th house where it was also retrograde in February. So if there were some complications in regards to your career, delays, a certain project that required a lot of your efforts, redoing something over and over, now you're going to start seeing the results of it. Things will go back to normalcy. You can, for example, if you've been in negotiations for a job, when Mercury starts moving direct over your 10th house, you can finally start seeing the, maybe get the contract or the deal or the project. Or complete a project, so it's not as stressful anymore. Or some complications in your career can, with authority figures or institutions or bosses, will start being straightened out from the middle of March. Then we have Venus in its own sign. Very good. And its own sign for you happens to be the 12th house. So this 12th house will feel very good in March. What is 12th house? Time alone, or going away on a holiday in a foreign places. This can manifest for some of you. Go away to the Maldives, go away to Thailand, whatever, go away to somewhere, escape from reality, or skiing or whatever. But you can enjoy some beautiful hotels, 12 houses, retreats, hotels, places of seclusion. Some private romantic dates can be manifested, because Venus manifests when it's in its own sign, the good side. So private or secret romantic relationships, or just more bed pleasures. Venus in the 12th house is bed pleasures, whatever that means to you. Some of you might be more connected, soulful sex and connection with their partner, and better like some role playing and enjoyment, some food role playing, whatever. For others might be just amazing time and time of fulfillment, sitting and reading a book in their own bed, pleasure in their own bed or isolated environment. Another person might be that they feel connected to God, they feel big love towards God. 12th house is very spiritual, that they're getting a big contentment and enjoyment of saying their prayers, doing their tarot cards, visualizing things that they want to have. 12th house is visualizing, to call from the invisible world, to connect with the invisible worlds. The 12th house is this astral world, the unmanifest, to connect with the visions of the beautiful things you want in your life, the right relationships, Venus, the kind of money you want, the kind of luxuries. Now you can daydream about them. But it's not just going to be daydreaming. You can kind of solidify it in an image in the mental world, in the astral world, from where you can start drawing down as a manifestation. After that, from April, when Venus enters your sign in Gemini, and there'll be big manifestations for Gemini this year, Venusian ones, love, money, relationships, agreements, contracts. Venus rules all of those things. So luxuries, or self-care and self-love, pampering. There will be huge ones, because Venus will stay in your sign for 3 months, because it will get retrograde in Gemini. But now you are kind of, well, Venus is in your 12th house in its own sign. You're kind of starting to dream for those things. You're starting to get them as imagination, in your imagination, as an inspiration. What is it that you want to attract, Venusian, in your life, in a material, actual way over the next 3-4 months? Now, maybe it might be good to do like some kind of like a vision board or visualizations in regards to Venusian things, money, resources, love life as well, because Venus rules those things. Money, all the good things in life of Venus, Also, it can be a good time for helping someone in need, especially a woman or a female friend, when Venus is in the 12th house. And indulging in your own privacy. For some of you, it can mean like indulging a bit more on wine. Self-sabotaging behaviors, Venus can also allow them. It's a very allowing planet. So you can just allow yourself to rest more. You can allow yourself to dream more, to sleep more. You can allow yourself to be a bit lazy. You can allow yourself to indulge in escaping reality, to indulge in going away for a bit, this is Venus in the 12th house, to indulge in dreaming about someone and not fantasizing about someone, and to spend a bit more. 12th house, the house of spending, Venus, then you're going to spend on things you're enjoying. Venus in Taurus, something that gives you joy, physical, sensual. But spending definitely can appear a bit more on Venusian things, good clothes, good foods, pleasant things, dates, and spiritual matters, whatever. Then you have Mars, also in sign of exaltation. It can give great results in your 8th house. And it's starting a new cycle there. It's joining Jupiter and creating a wealth yoga. So some opportunity can come to you starting in March, which might take a year or two actually to fully give its results, till the next time Mars meets with Jupiter in about 2 years and something. But the new cycle starts in your 8th house, another new cycle. And that's like and it's a wealth yoga, Mars and Jupiter. An opportunity comes, Jupiter, Mars says you act on it. You get enthusiastic. You recognize an opportunity, but you don't just say, should I do it? Should I? No, Mars is like, I'm going to act on it. And so this is going to happen, and it's in your 8th house. So some financial opportunity from another. You might recognize some talent of another or some resource that they have that you want to use that will create more wealth for you. Or you might recognize in someone or in some 8th house is other people's resources, other people's talents, other people's advice, that can, so maybe, for example, initiating and asking a financial advisor for something, or asking someone else how to invest or what assets to put in, but kind of get an advice from professional 8th houses, like people who understand about other people's resources. And this can create a lot of wealth and abundance for you. Or with your partner, like some kind of an opportunity can appear to combine your finances or resources with another, or to invest it in some pooled resources. Go for it. Or to some business opportunity can appear that involves other people's resources, or some hidden money, 8th house is hidden money, or some inheritance or insurance, something to do with taxes again. Some initiative that you take, it will be positive. It can taxes, inheritances, insurances, other people's resources. Such initiative, if you take, it can be quite financially rewarding in the long term, because of the Jupiter-Mars conjunction. So wealth and resources through others, or opportunities through banks and working with another person. Plus the 8th house is the house of I'll speak about that in connection with another thing as well, because Saturn is leaving your 8th house. It's been there for 2.5 years, and often it can feel quite traumatic. This is when a person gets stuck in a healing process, which is happening so slowly when Saturn is in the 8th house. Maybe some trauma happened while Saturn is in the 8th house, which has been since 2017, 18 and 19. And now Saturn is leaving there. So if you've been in a healing mode of something, but still feeling stuck, still feeling that you can't, it's like sometimes a person loses somebody. It might be after a divorce. It might be after death of someone. It might be after a breakup. It might be after some certain loss of identity, or some big change that you kind of find traumatic. While Saturn is still in the 8th house, it's very hard. You kind of get stuck in that trauma. You're working very hard from it with lots of efforts, but you're barely seeing results. But now Saturn moves out of this 8th house. So fantastic. From the end of March onwards, Gemini, you're going to start feeling a huge relief, psychological, emotional relief of some stagnant situation that you carried pain in, or that you were trying to work through a lot of pain or trauma. And the Jupiter-Mars combination is going to give you like a sudden healing. Mars is like intervention planet, with Jupiter expands that, like a sudden breakthrough in a psychological situation where you felt stuck, where you felt like you can't get out. It's like psychological, emotional healing. Or maybe you can have a breakthrough with an astrologer or an occultist or a psychologist. 8th house is all those people that are trying to explain to you the deep reasons, the occult, the psychological reasons, and to take you over the bridge from one state of consciousness to another. The 8th house is one of those houses where you can change your level of consciousness from one vibration to another. It's internal change, but it shifts so much for you. It's like you're coming out of a black tunnel. Saturn, when it's transiting the 8th house from the ascendant sun and moon, can feel like you're stuck in a black tunnel. You're in the process of death, and you're trying to move through this black tunnel, and you're starting and you're seeing the light, but you're still stuck in that tunnel. You're working towards it, and you're like, am I dying? What is happening? I'm talking symbolically here. But now, the moment Saturn moves through this tunnel, it's like you are reborn. You come on the other side of the tunnel. There's no longer those heavy emotional things that are happening. And Jupiter and Mars can create this even sexual healing. Jupiter and Mars can trigger for you suddenly some tremendous psychological release, especially because Saturn is leaving that 8th house, through an intimacy or through some psychological breakthrough, some work with astrology or occult or hidden secrets, or just sudden breakthrough, sudden opening of chakras, cleaning up of chakras with blockages of the energetic body, because the 8th house rules the energetic astral body and the chakras, the openings in the body. So interesting stuff, guys. Plus, if you've had some financial stagnation or problems, especially if your partner has been creating some financial burden or having to work really hard with resources of a partner, now all those delays and problems with resources, that money owed to you from clients or money from your partner, business or personal, or resources that have been slowly growing only, that have been requiring more effort, now those blockages disappear. Saturn is leaving that 8th house. And if anything, Jupiter Mars conjunction in March can create like a big burst of income through, partner resources and opportunity that comes through them. But there will be huge relief for you financially. You're gonna notice it. Saturn, the blocking planet, is moving for there. A lot of you had to restructure your mutual finances and resources, had to learn how to control their mutual resources better. So for some of you, it was I have a Gemini ascendant friend who basically they were doing a business with her husband over the last 2 years. They had to limit themselves a lot and things, but she loved that process. She said, I love the process of structurizing the finances, of budgeting and stuff. This is amazing. I just love the structures I created. So for some of you, might have been a pleasant process, but now Saturn moves out of there and only Jupiter stays there. So you're going to manifest through others so much. If there was also some sexual blockage, a lot of Gemini did not have much sex, so there was some other responsibilities and duties that kind of deprived them from sexual from a lot of intimacy, just to relax and to merge with another one. Saturn moves from your 8th house now, don't worry, and Jupiter only stays there. There will be sexual revival for you, the ability to kind of give yourself into another, and instead of worrying and stuff. So if there was a dry spell sexually, now you're going to see the improvement, Gemini. Fantastic. It's going to be quite noticeable for many of you. As I said, financially, if there was some complications, they will disappear, blah, blah. And as I said, psychologically, we spoke about that. And then Saturn is moving into a 9th house for 3 months. It will come back again into 8th house for a few months till December after that, from July till December. So you have to revisit some of the old 8th house issues, but for 3 months now, you're going to enjoy this 8th house of transformation, of sexuality, of financial resources coming from others, just flowing, just becoming easier. But Saturn will bring a new set of interest and focus for you, going and responsibilities and new great work that you have to achieve. And that's in your 9th house. So from the end of March, you're going to start, for example, really becoming more serious about some serious studies, learning something, some courses you can take, maybe starting re-educating yourself, taking some new qualifications. It might take 2 years for you to complete those, or 3 years, because Saturn will be there for 3 years. But when Saturn is in its own sign, Aquarius, it loves it there. You're going to do a great job. You're going to really follow through, and it's going to bring opportunities, because Aquarius is a sign of gainfulness and opportunism. So whatever you decide to study or learn in the next, starting from the end of March till July, you might entertain it for a little bit, and then Saturn goes back into the 8th house. You might kind of put it on hold, but definitely from the end of this year, you're going to take on some new studies. You're going to take some possibly travels connected with work responsibilities and travel. And it's kind of, if it might put a bit of a blockage on traveling for pleasure from the end of March. But travels will always be some kind of accompanied by work or by looking for connections in some sort as well. And also it's going to restructure your belief systems. But Saturn will really support Gemini from Aquarius, because it's going to make trine to them. And especially early born Gemini, those born on the 22nd, 23rd of May, 24th of May, they're going to feel now for the next 3 months April, May, and June, the trine of Saturn. So they can achieve some stability in career. They can in career as well, because it's the sun that's getting the trine from Saturn. Or if it's your ascendant or moon in the first 2-3 degrees of Gemini, you're going to feel the trine from Saturn again. So that means stabilization of a situation. Whatever you undertake in the next 3 months will have long-lasting results. You'll become more mature, more responsibilities will come to you, but you're welcoming them. They're not going to feel like pressing on your neck. They're not going to feel depressing. They'll feel like I'm welcoming this maturity and responsibility that comes to me. And as I said, there'll be very interesting restructuring of your belief systems, Gemini, over the next 2.5, 3 years. You'll notice that you'll become way more mature, how you perceive reality, and there might be some demanding, heavy teachers that appear in your life, all the teachers. So a lot of you might start turning towards old belief system and studying of ancient studies. Saturn means something ancient. In the 9th house is higher knowledge, incorporating more traditional belief systems, or more realistic, checking up your beliefs and what you can acquire amazing mentors. The 9th house is teachers and mentors, and because Saturn is really positive there in Aquarius, they might be kind of old school, they might be more demanding, they might be harsher, but they will really teach you so well. They will teach you to follow steps. They'll teach you how to the right mentality. They'll teach you with the experience, which is Saturn, how to go for your goals. And it might be great for some of you to take a life coach or someone who helps you plan your future, or someone who helps you restructure your beliefs, because the 9th house is your belief, how you perceive reality. And it's going to be a slow process. It will take 2.5 years, but by the end of this period, when Saturn moves from Aquarius in your 9th house, Gemini, you have a much more realistic, practical, and organized way how to achieve your goals, how to envision of where you're supposed to go. And so I believe it will be extremely positive for many of you. And people who are in teaching, or you can take up teaching, or you can, a lot of Geminis who are already in teaching in anything to do with travel, with foreign import, export, they're going to see an increase of responsibilities and duties. They're going to see a restructuring of their business or their work. They're going to see a lot more work coming to them, and they're having to, take up more responsible roles. Anyway, thank you so much, Gemini. A lot more to say. You can check out my 2020 videos where I talk about you for 2 hours almost for the year 2020. They're just $9.99 and one of my best projects ever. Thank you, and enjoy this next month, the big shift.